Due to the impact of COVID-19, we're currently facing a new reality with expansive change happening every single day. You might be struggling to know what to lean into right now. Jodie Baker, founder of Heal You, has created the Corona Insights podcast to help ease your information overwhelm. Jodie is consuming, filtering, and sharing vast information from many sources she's validated over years of experience, so you can quickly stay up to date with these short podcasts. Jodie uses her natural intuitive abilities to help you get up to speed on the invisible possibilities ahead and integrate the new corona reality we are living in.
Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to discuss the fact that we all live in different dimensions at the same time. Now, I'm pretty certain that most of you would have heard that concept before because it's something that pops up a lot. Watching movies or reading books or really high-end spiritual people talk about that we all, there's like these parallel universes happening at one time and different timelines and different dimensions all happening simultaneously. And it's just an idea, you hear it and you go, oh yeah, but you can't ever really get your head around how that works. It's kind of like infinite space. How do you comprehend infinite space? Because how can something go on forever with no ending? Because, it just breaks your brain. So it's just one of those things. So the idea that there's all these alternative realities and different dimensions happening simultaneously is another one of those concepts. And it's especially relevant right now because in the spiritual world, there's a lot of talk about humans ascending from 3D to 4D to 5D reality. And that ascension is happening right now. And, if you Google that, you'll find endless amounts of information on that. So I've always, known about this. But something happened to me, this week it's starting to become really apparent to me how that could possibly be true. I'm seeing an example of that in our physical reality, and I'm going to explain it to you. So for me, based on what I'm reading and watching and what sources of information that I attach myself, that's created the dimension that I'm in. And the dimension that I'm in is, and I'm talking about the lockdown life that we live in right now, is very different to the dimension that, say, my friends might live in based on what they're consuming, what information they're attaching themselves to. So, and it's really weird because I sort of thought that we were all sort of coming to the same conclusion because what it's about the media, it's about what information is being fed to us. And because we live in the social media world where it's kind of crafted and personalized to us. So my social media experience is going to be different to somebody else's because there's that algorithm that was created based on my likes and what I've looked at before and all that sort of stuff. So what it sends to me is going to be related to that. So my social media experience is going to be totally different to one of my friends' social media experiences because it's going to be based on the things that they've liked and what's interesting to them. So for me, I'm more involved in how some people would describe it to be the conspiracy type reality. And I don't like that word because I think once conspiracy starts happening, it's basically just cold facts. So I sort of regard it more as the truth of information. So it's basically just not the mainstream media, it's alternative media. And there's loads of it out there. And, as a side note, for me, I sort of find it more compelling because the people telling the story in the alternative media seem to be far more intelligent than the people that I'm seeing on the TV. But that's just my personal dimension that I'm in. Isn't that strange? So I don't know if I've explained it properly enough. So what I'm saying is we are actually living in different dimensions. The world that I'm living in is a world where the COVID-19 situation is somewhat of a hoax, that it is definitely a virus. I mean, I don't know exactly all of the details because, of course, I don't think anybody gets to know that. I think this is all unknowable information. But based on the information that I'm looking at and listening to the experts in the field that I'm tuning into, it's a virus, but it's certainly not big enough to close down the global economy. And if it were, the deaths that are going to occur because of this global collapse is going to far, far outweigh the amount of potential deaths that were going to happen if we had let it keep going the way it was. So that's a different podcast altogether, but that's just my personal dimension. Whereas I'm talking to other people who are just tuned into mainstream media only, they are in terrible fear of this COVID-19 virus because they're all really, really scared, even though they know that you really haven't got much to be afraid of unless you're already got some underlying health issues anyway. So then you're kind of vulnerable to it. But I guess they're afraid for people that they love that are in that position, which is completely fair enough. And I actually agree with that because it seems that there is some really scary virus out there who's going to hurt people who are really vulnerable. So, of course, definitely think that's a reality. But my reality or my dimension that I'm living in, I'm way more afraid of the reason why the puppet masters or whoever they are have decided or want to close down the global economy and what their agenda is for doing so. And that's the information that I'm attaching myself to. So that's where all the different dimensions are lining up at the one time. So I'm sitting in here being really mindful, and I don't want to use the word afraid, but if I was afraid, it would be about that. It would be about the agenda. And the person next to me would be really afraid of the actual virus. So, and the person, another person would be seriously afraid of losing their house. There are other people who are completely afraid of losing their freedom. Other people are afraid of being injected with nanotechnology. Other people are afraid of being tracked. So there's heaps of different dimensions going on here at the moment. I was on a Zoom call with some of my most loved sisters, best friends, this morning, and I realised that I haven't seen them in a while and we haven't talked about what's going on very much, but I noticed that we are literally all in a different dimension right now. So that whole theory about all the dimensions happening parallel at the same time, I can see how that's true because it's happening in the physical world right now. So I love you. Thank you very much for listening to me. I will catch up with you soon. Ciao.
We hope you enjoyed this interview. To hear more, please subscribe to the podcast or learn more about Jodie at healyou.me.